Thanks for being with us today. And in the studios, our special guest block today, we have the Honorable Judge Brandon Fisher. He is the juvenile judge, court judge here in Anderson County. Brandon, good to see you today.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to come by and have our guests come by. And of course, when judges show up as well, we feel like we're protected here, so we appreciate that, even though we're not a juvenile. But of course, you nominated to that position back in January when Judge Meldrum decided to resign. You were appointed by the commission, and favorably so, and with a lot of accolades there. And it's just good to have you here. And I know you want to share with us some of the things going on inside the role as juvenile judge.
Sure. Since becoming juvenile judge, I've been focusing a lot on increasing community involvement. That's been one of my main goals as we look at what's going on with this court and try to improve the court. I understand I'm sitting as an interim, but
Sure.
I think that also means that if I see a problem, I need to fix it.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've looked at increasing community involvement by increasing the involvement on the Foster Care Review Board has been one
Wow.
thing.
Yeah.
We've increased that by almost 400%.
Right.
We've also started something called the Best Practices Court Program, which is where we involve different community organizations and individuals. We've got Ridgeview, we've got the Clinton Baptist Association. They all come together to see what we can do about making our juvenile system more responsive to the needs and hopefully keeping more people out of the courts and getting them what they need before they come and see me.
A big deal there is, of course, when you say you're asking, these are organizations, of course, assisting you in somewhat, I guess, keeping maybe calming some fears, keeping people kind of tenured down to say, look, we can help and assist before you maybe get to the point where you got to go before a judge. And it helps, I guess, to take the workload off, or the caseload, doesn't it, off of you guys, but still got a lot to face, I know.
We do. It's a busy court. We deal with both, or with all of, dependence and neglect of children. We deal with children who are accused of being delinquent or unruly, and we also deal with custody determinations between parents who have not been married.
Right.
So it's a busy situation. We also do tobacco court, truancy, under the campus court guys. So we have a lot going on in juvenile court, and that's one of the reasons behind this Best Practices Court is we want to involve as many people as we can to deal with these kids and these families to get them what they need, so hopefully they won't have to come and deal with the court experience and they can get what they need without having to interrupt or disrupt their family life.
You've got a lot of ideas, I'm sure, about how to, I would assume, to downsize those caseloads. Of course, unfortunately, sometimes crime seems to keep going up, and even in the juvenile state. But you've got some ideas about how to maybe make it work a little bit more efficiently. Share some of those with us, I mean, as you mentioned there.
And that's what we're trying to do as we take step by step in the juvenile court. What we do is we're trying to have little successes that will lead to bigger successes. So we're talking to people about what would make the juvenile court work better for them. One of the things we've done is tried to have a more closed environment with the kids so that they can feel free to come to the court and talk to us about what their problems are so that we can work to fix them.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main things, and in fact have had juveniles who've been in front of me come to me and say they really appreciate that they feel that we've put the focus back on them. And that's what I want everyone to feel who comes to juvenile court, that this is not something where we're looking to punish them, where we're looking to go after them in any way.
Trying to get their lives straightened out.
Exactly. We're a court of rehabilitation. That's our sole focus. And whether that's rehabilitating children who've been accused of delinquent acts, or whether that's rehabilitating parents who just don't have the skills to take care of the children, that's always our main goal. And I want people to recognize that with me sitting as the juvenile judge, that I'm not here to always attack them or to go after what their problems are, except in the fact to identify those problems and fix those problems. I think that the juvenile court's goal, although it's unlikely, is always to abolish the juvenile court. I wish we had no need to talk about juvenile delinquents or dependence and neglect, but unfortunately we do, and we have to work to combat it.
Well, in fact, is it true to say, I guess, Brandon, that somewhat that children who maybe are under that poverty-based level sometimes or they just can't, is the caseload more reflected to that, or how do you do that? I know you have all types of individuals involved there, but is the county commissioners help and try to establish better quality of life in the county? That would help, I'm sure, but I guess you still have those aspects where it's just sometimes kids think, I don't have any way, nowhere to go, and they wind up in that court, don't they?
That's a lot of it, and we have a very interesting county here in Anderson County because we have the broad spectrum of socioeconomic levels here in the county. We have from the highest education to just bare grinding poverty. And we have to focus on all of those people and look at those problems individually. In our county, transportation is a huge problem for people needing to get to services in one end of the county or the other. I practiced in juvenile court for years before I became the juvenile judge, and we see all levels of people in juvenile court. And that's one of the reasons we have this best practices court, is trying to find out what those problems are, identify them, isolate them, and figure out what we can do to solve them. Some of the task forces we've created with that best practices court focus on children, focus on teenagers, focus on just gathering some data to see where our problems are in Anderson County so we can fix them even better.
How many juvenile officers do you have now presently in Anderson County, or is that something that you can put out? I mean, do you have assistants? I know you have assistants in your department and all.
Sure. Because we handle so many different types of cases, we have different people working on different things. We have a director of our court, and she handles a lot of, her name is Melanie Davies, and she handles a lot of the custody dispute issues. She has a custody specialist who works with her. We have a lead YSO and then another YSO, and they're basically probation officers. So we have people handling custody issues,
It's a big deal,
handling criminal issues, and then we have an intake officer who brings kids in and gets them ready for the court system. A lot of times it's something new. We try to make it as comforting as possible. We don't want it to be too scary of a situation.
You're running for the election for the seat in August. I guess you work no doubt, several hours a day, even time when people think you're not working, you're still working.
That's right.
But you're married, and I think looking for your first child in the next couple of months.
That's right. My wife and I are expecting our first child August 24th. We're going to have a girl. Her name is Audrey Claire, and I am so excited.
I bet.
I can't stand it. I can already tell she's going to have me wrapped around her finger. She already does.
Wow.
So I can't wait. My whole family is excited. This is going to be the first grandchild on either side, and we are just thrilled.
Some of you out there may not know the face of the judge, the juvenile judge, Brandon Fisher. He's with us today as our guest, and we appreciate him joining us. He will be running for election in August, and you can keep that name on the top of your list there, I'm sure. Brandon Fisher, of course, he's there. One quick thing is the juveniles come up to you. You're a young guy. You're not old looking like me. I guess they feel like that brotherly love thing going on there maybe as a judge. You're not that old man or old woman or something that they look at and say, oh, no, I've got to go before a judge. How do they reflect to that?
That's actually one of the things that I think works so well, is a lot of people said, you're a young guy and you look even younger than you are, but I think that helps a lot of the kids relate to me. I think that they feel comfortable seeing someone who is not so far removed from them sitting up there on the bench, because in the juvenile court we're trying to craft a solution to their problems, and they're willing to look at me and talk with me more openly, I think, than a lot of people if it were someone else on that bench.
We sure appreciate you joining us today to share a little bit of information about how the court system works, the juvenile court system. But Brandon Fisher, Honorable Brandon Fisher, Judge Brandon Fisher, is our guest today. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back with more right after these words.